Okay. So the point is that we have strong association in Isaiah 9:7 with the Messiah himself, right? Throughout the
Okay,
tradition.
exactly. And what I didn't put here is what we have from the Gospel of Matthew. Unto us a son is born. His name shall be Emmanuel, right? His government shall be upon his shoulders. Now, not all that's in Matthew 1. But the idea is that the virgin will give birth is the oldest Jewish tradition we have
Yeah.
pertaining to this passage. I don't have it on here because we're just looking at rabbinic world. But the oldest tradition in the background of this are Christians, whether they're Jew or Gentile, behind all of the texts we've looked at. Maybe except for the Qumran group, if that Isaiah scroll is before the first, if that's first century BC, are saying. But even then, the Greek tradition of Parthenos goes back to maybe 200 BC. So this idea of virgin conceiving, Emmanuel, and then the government shall be on his shoulders. All these things. Now I know I'm conflating Isaiah 7 with Isaiah 9 here. But they are taken together in our tradition pertaining to Yeshua. And that's in the background here. And that's where we see it, and we can pick it up next week if we want to continue this with Yosef Kaspi, who comes 100 years now later than Kimchi, and he's really now saying it does not mean virgin. Now, Kaspi, this is the last citation on page 4. It's an extended. I read his whole bit, but I didn't want to translate the whole thing, and I'm typing all this in. I don't want to type all this in. But he basically says, this is him, and he's in the 14th century. He's saying he calls Hebrew Yehudit. He doesn't call it Ivrit. He calls it Yehudit. It's better than Aravit, which is Arabic. It's better than Yavan, Greek, all other languages. Ha'alma does not mean the virgin. And he says the closed mem does not mean virgin. So someone in his life, somewhere,
said told him.
Someone's telling him.
Yeah.
And now, and to all listening, if we can find this would be gold, for building this this knowledge here, is to find a source prior to Yosef Kaspi. Coming after isn't going to help. We want a source earlier than Kaspi. And it doesn't have to be, it could be a Christian who's arguing with a Jew, but who is teaching that the closed mem is the closed womb.
Yeah.
All we have is Yosef Kaspi saying that's not what it means. So that means someone got under him, someone prodded him with that. And what does he say? This is his argument. The great Sanhedrin put the closed mem there so that Jews who know the vowel points and the accents and the Kri Ketiv would be aware of like false teachings that would come along, and that they would, in other words, he argues that the Great Sanhedrin, which is a rabbinic imagined thing, at the beginning of the Second Temple era after the Babylonian exile, they put that closed mem in there to keep us on guard against the false teaching that someone would come around and say that it has to do with the virgin. Because he says it does. He uses the word Virgo in Latin. It does not mean Virgo. It does not mean virgin. So anyway, so the oral tradition of the Kri Ketiv and the vowel points help protect Jews from apostasy. That's kind of his theme there. So let's pause there. If we want to, next week we can do the real imaginative stuff. If you thought any of that is imaginative, the stuff from the Kabbalah is even more so.